And first, thank you for allowing me to present this material. I hope you find it as interesting as I did. Every 2 years, kitchen designers and manufacturers converge in Milan, Italy to participate in the Euro Cucina show. Postponed since 2018, the industry was primed for a new event. And while the total attendance of visitors and displaying companies was down a bit, there were still 260,000 people that had attended. We think it was because no one really knew if COVID-19 would reemerge and kill off attendance. But the show was busy, the booths full, and the attendees were just happy to get out and mingle. You know, the show was really rarefied air. Kitchen industry professionals from all over the world come to see what the European designers have dreamt up. This is a showcase for cool, thoughtful, and whimsical ideas. Many may never make it into production, but they will serve to inspire. It's sort of a best foot forward with style and eye-catching pop. Displaying companies are largely Italian, who lead the world in design in so many industries: furniture, clothing, and certainly kitchens. There was a smattering of German companies there, but no other European manufacturers that I noticed. Certainly the French weren't there and the British, who typically are. Some of these trends will make it to the US rather quickly, others later, and some may never. Interior decorators, in order to justify their design fees, need to stay cutting edge in fashion. The clients they serve travel globally and are up to date on color, style, and trends. These new ideas, they percolate throughout the industry, and eventually they work their way into the mainstream. Kitchen designers will begin to request them, since the ideas will reach through social media and trade magazines, and eventually work their way to the manufacturer. Richelieu sent a team of people to this year's Euro Cucina who snapped over 1,000 images. We boiled these down to the presentation you're about to see. We organized a tour for US customers of the top flagship showrooms in the Fiera Milano, Milan's fashion district, which is apart from the fairgrounds holding the show. So there really were 2 tours. We experienced a detailed showroom tour, each meeting with the designers who spoke about the materials used and the reasons for their selection, which were salient points to the customers. One designer said, "Who really doesn't like a good story?" Just 2 of the stories were at Bofi. Bofi's recognized probably the leader in terms of fashion and design, and they told 2 things. One was a lamp that hung over the table. The lamp was made by origami masters in Japan using a rare wood and in the origami technique for paper. Absolutely gorgeous. Crazy money for this thing. They also told us about the marble that was being used in the countertops. The marble came from the same family farm. They've been farming that property since 1845. Same family holds it. These are great stories. These are stories that are told to the consumers that go a long way to justify the prices they charge. But as the designer said, who doesn't like a good story? So we also have to be storytellers in our business. People want to know the source of the material. They want to know about the materials being used. Is it safe? Is it sustainable? You know, but these are all good stories that we have to learn to be able to tell. So let's jump in. If I can get my page to advance. All right, here we go. So what do we see over there? Well, in the kitchen industry, we saw lots of wood grain veneer, from TFL from very dark to very light. We saw lots of linear design. We saw wood grain effects on solid colors. Still saw a lot of marble, dark, white, and colored. Porcelain tops and doors continue to be important. Notice doors continue to be important. We saw timbre doors and drawers everywhere. Not the conventional roll-up timbre, but a timbre style look to it. We saw combinations of textures and finishes, matte, gloss, registered, embossed, all used on the same job. We saw lots of open space under the cabinets and more coverage of aluminum frame doors, both in clear and frosted glass. And we saw this continuation of bringing the natural feel into the house. So let's look at some of those kitchens we saw. 2 examples that pop off. I want to draw your eye to the one on the left. You see this vertical grain textured melamine. Glass doors up above, space underneath for storage. we're using a faux stone countertop. Draw your eye to the door. It's full height. This is very typical for European design. And also notice the 2 drawers in the base. Wide 2-drawer bases, very common in Europe. Rare to see a 6-inch front in a 24-inch door. Just, you didn't see much of it. Here and there, but not much at all. That's just very typical European design. And notice the harmony of the colors as they all come together. Over on the right-hand side, notice the countertop disappears. That's a back bevel pull at the top. We're using deep grain texture on a curved cabinetry. Take a look at the lighting. There's a credenza behind it, it's well lit. Also the wall system. There's a lot of attractive design there. And this was typical of styles we saw over there. Europe wasn't immune to COVID. Lots of workstations popped up. Of course, kids stayed home from school, parents stayed home from school, and they needed the space to be able to have places to work and to study. And also, small as in, we did see a proliferation of pop-up workstations. Over on the right-hand side, you see a softer white lacquered melamine, which was quite popular. I draw your attention to the backsplash material. That is an abstract textured melamine. I'm sorry, lacquered melamine with an abstract print. The structure behind that is a galvanized steel racking system that also incorporates. It's screwed to the wall, and then those panels are clipped in place. That's the fit art system that Matt Krieg used several years ago on an eyeglass store, a retail store. But notice the thin slats, they'll accommodate floating shelves. And then of course you've got a variety of kitchen accessories will fit into that. So those panels vertically are simply clipped in place. The designers on the left-hand side have gone amok using lots of intriguing storage space. That's a textured melamine wide drawer with a continuous edge-mounted pull in gold, thin countertops. Over on the right-hand side, you see the textured melamine with a stainless steel countertop. It's going to be an interesting look to it. Draw your attention to the backsplash material made of wood. It's kind of cool. It complements very nicely against the dark black registered in textured melamine. You see the use of plants, long linear lights, 0-dot LED. You did not see aluminum heat sinks. The next generation of lights don't require them. Cast your eye to the right, you'll see a deep grained material, and there in this case you see 2 drawers all over and a deep drawer. Very thin countertops, and then of course a matching backsplash as well. On the left-hand side, you see the new burgundy color. This was a color that we saw introduced at the show. Again, those 2-drawer bases, full height doors. The system that is suspended from the ceiling is something similar to what you can find from Richelieu has a program that provides that element design as well. And also the UK program from Kesselbaumer, but you can see this in its matching color, so they have spray painted that to match the kitchen. Over on the left-hand side, you got 3 different wood grains working. And the first time you'll see that vertical timbre material made of walnut. We saw that vertical timbre in white oak, or rift-cut white oak. We also saw it in maple for staining or painting, and that pattern that you see on the doors up above, that is a sequence match lacquered melamine. It's a very, very cool abstract pattern. Abstracts were quite popular at the show. Interesting countertop that it has seams in. It's very difficult to see, but you can see that kind of a shiplap look to the and the light green, which is a fashion color as well. We saw at the show using edge pulls, kind of an interesting take on a countertop. Over on the right-hand side, you see terracotta, which was a new color at the show, and a kind of a smart gray countertop, all seamless. Those doors are on a single plane. We did not see many coplanar doors. And when I asked one of the sales representative, why didn't I see more coplanar? He said they're expensive and the plants hate to put them in. So we see a lot more design. These doors will slide along a single track, but they'll have openings for the storage, as you can see there. And so these doors just slide past one another. Again, that overhead storage, there's a lot of interesting things going on here on the left. First of all, we see the Gola pull, which is a continuous pull for that entire cabinet. We're seeing a lacquered melamine product in low sheen, thin countertops. Behind it, a 4-level storage system. That's a folding lifter in the middle. The little green pottery you see there is the new green color we've seen in the show. Overhead storage with the racking system in black. Over on the right-hand side, in the background, you see that vertical grain walnut material, that timber material that we've seen before. In the green cabinet, you see a lifter, but in the green material, that is a lacquered. It is an acrylic product with powdered glass, which gives it a lot of depth, has very, very high scratch resistance. Rayhouse sells it and Richelieu sells it as well, but it's just a beautiful combination. And over on the right-hand side, you see lots of interesting things. This is where the designers have really taken liberty. You see this new gold material, yellow gold material called ochre, that has worked its way into cabinetry, stainless steel countertop to the foreground, along with a stainless steel doors fronts. That's faux stainless steel, but real stainless steel in the island. I took this picture because I was intrigued by a couple of things. First of all, that's a very wide opening, and there's this pole that's supporting the glass shelves to keep it from bending. I'd never seen anything like that before. I took a picture. I've got our product managers trying to search that out. Those are little Italiana Fedamente shelf supports, which lock the shelf in place. They're very stylish. This was at Euromobile display. It was an Italian manufacturer. I just thought this had high cool factor. Moving on, again, that timber walnut material on a door and drawer combination. That is a suspended vanity. They have great suspended systems for a great suspension system for floating vanities over there in Europe. It's also sold here in the United States. On the right-hand side, if you creep your eye up to the very far left of that picture on the right, you'll see that 2-drawer base, but one of them is divided. So that's a common application. These cabinets are suspended on an aluminum platform incorporating a stainless steel top. I like the use of the walnut wood grain to be able to create this little storage space under the cabinets. Over on the right-hand side, we see a smart use of low sheen lacquered melamine. And again, look at that storage system, the floating system using plants on the wall. These are systems that are readily available in the US. Very streamlined, very linear. Not a lot of attention drawn to the hardware. Those are very narrow, thin poles that sit at the top. Over on the left-hand side, I just love the color combination here with the countertops. That is a PET wrap over those doors. That is not paint. It was very hard to find paint in Europe. Of course, they have these doors available, these doors and drawer fronts available readily from European suppliers, but that is emulates the shaker look that's so common here in the United States, but I love that combination. Over on the right-hand side, notice the open drawers in the base. This is textured melamine, but those drawers are open. You can see the contents inside. You just never see that used in the United States, but in Europe, it was quite common. On those shelves, you see this pink color, that salmon color, which was one of the fashion colors that the Europeans have designed. And you saw that used quite well throughout the show. We'll see the terracotta color again. In this case, with recessed poles, very thin countertops, which is quite common, beautiful glass doors. With the zero dot LEDs, no aluminum extrusions in it, lights that cabinet up very nicely. Also using those zero dot LEDs in the base cabinet. It's a little hard to see from the resolution, but that is a fabric style textured melamine. Notice the shelf, it runs all the way to the walls because there's no reason to have to trim that back to be able to accommodate the light, because that's a flush fitting light. So a great thin countertop, attractive, I think. On the left-hand side, this is a kitchen designed by the fashion company Diesel, which does funky clothing. They're using the low sheen material for a writing surface in chalk, which is kind of cool. So that's your grocery list and your task for the day. The hoods were just out of control. I love them. It's a very light grain wood texture in that textured melamine. They're using a radius set as a Caliph product, an attractive countertop, and they're using decorative pulls there. Over on the left-hand side, you see the aluminum frame system. Again, that is available in the United States from us and from Element. They're using a lift-up door there in textured melamine, and then we're using a low-sheen edge-mounted pull thin countertops. Kind of again, attractive. And slipping into those two pictures are the ochre color and the salmon color and the terracotta. Again, we're bringing those colors in that have been the fashion collection. On the left-hand side, the burgundy color that we'd seen before. Notice the open drawers in the base cabinet. You can see the contents in there, just not something we see in the United States. Over on the left-hand side is an abstract textured melamine, thin countertops. We've got those cabinets up off the floor, mounted to a suspension system that opens up the space very nicely. On the right-hand side is a low sheen lacquered melamine. You notice textured melamine in the background in walnut. There's a suspended system for shelving. 3 different thicknesses of countertop being used there, one for a table, which of course matches the countertop, and then we've got a wood grain, and down below you've got a radius textured melamine in black, well lit. It's got a very nice appeal to it. Again, that wrapped material of PET we see in the shaker style door over on the left-hand side. That is porcelain cabinetry made of actual porcelain. They're using it for the drawer face and the rest of the cabinetry. Slipping in there a jointed walnut drawer. So that is not a dovetail. That's actually a square joint. We'll get a better picture of that in here coming up. 2 interesting pictures. The one on the left is one I just liked. I love that little charcoal grill. It was cool as hell. That's an outdoor kitchen. It is powder coated aluminum. I thought the color was great, and that little charcoal grill caught my eye. On the right-hand side, that is a laminate that is cladded 2-side on an aluminum frame. It's very thin. So it's not only is it stable and doesn't require a straightener, but it's very light. That's a fold and pocket door application there. And this whole cabinet is there. And I asked the designer what's up, and they said, make that out of particle board, then try to move it in. So we saw aluminum frame material. We also saw cardboard, honeycomb material being utilized, because you had to ask when you're up against, you can't see it. But this makes the cabinetry so much more stable, so much easier to handle, and it doesn't require straighteners. So in the bathroom area, very similar to the kitchens, the soft linear wood grains, printed porcelain with marble design, marble with the more organic look, solid colors in matte and high gloss. We did see off-white, mostly high gloss. We saw black, mostly super matte. Glass tambour doors and drawers in the bathroom, and it's got very minimalist contemporary decor. It's very common. Here's some examples. Suspended vanity, low sheen, lacquered melamine, nice combination with a wood, with a stone basin, suspended. Backlit mirror using a silicone self-adhesive material. That walnut wood grain material in the center, quite ubiquitous throughout the show. You also see that linear look over on the right-hand side with suspended vanity top and suspended storage cabinet. The left side is this gray material that we see. That's also a fashion color that's selected, but look how easy that would be to build and how interesting that whole ensemble is. I thought this was all very innovative. Again, you move center left, you see this material, that is the glass in acrylic that creates a very, very scratch resistant surface. So you could use that material. It's a low sheen lacquer, but you can use that for countertop material, for drawers and doors. We're using the silicone adhesive tape around that mirror. Again, the walnut wood grain was all over the show, and it all looks very smart against that stone basin. It's a little caddy on the center right, made of the new blue-green material that we saw over there. And then, of course, you see a blue that that is being introduced to the show, along with the terracotta on the far right. It's just some of the colors we saw. Over in the closets, there wasn't really any big change to the closets. We saw a heavy use of TFL wood and textile patterns, light and dark. We saw extensive use of LED lights, pucks, and linear. Here's a couple examples. I want to stop on the far left and pay a little attention to that. These were in kitchen showrooms. I mean, kitchen displays, not closet displays. As the European manufacturers have lifted a page out of the IKEA book. You know, the consumers, they start with IKEA. That's where you buy your dorm furniture and your first house. But one thing IKEA has done is to move throughout the rest of the house. So they do the kitchen, they do the closet, they do the bedroom, they do the laundry room, they do the garage. So you can outfit your entire home. The European cabinet manufacturers are seeing it the same way. There's an expression that Andreas Message uses, that Geppetto is dead. And you all know who Geppetto is, right? It's the guy that crafted Pinocchio. Well, he's not coming off the boat anymore with his tape measure and his bib overalls to do the work. The Europeans have figured out is once you start with a client and they're happy and they're satisfied and you've done one room, they want to move to the next room. And so there's plenty of opportunity within the house. And once you have the customer satisfied, it's an easy customer to please. They want to do more. Well, the Europeans are seeing the same thing. And they're doing the closets, and they're doing what we call the bespoke closets. This replicates the look of a high-end clothing store, but people are investing in their clothing. And when they come home, they want to see their clothing displayed the same way that they saw in the store. And so you see ensembles like this. There's a reach-in closet in the center left. That's a very tall door. And that's not a conventional Bloomgrass or Solici hinge on there. Those are heavy-duty Sugatsuni hinges. We sell those. There is a straightener involved, but there's a very tall door. And those hinges are very, very secure. They will hold 3 times the weight of a conventional hinge. No, 4 times the weight of a conventional hinge. So they're designed for the job. Center right, you see the reach-in closet with suspended shelf-mounted closet hanger. You see the zeroed LED, very long, continuous, very continuous track. On the right-hand side, that is the Vertigo system. There are other manufacturers that do offer that, but that's a aluminum system that is screwed to the wall, and those panels clip into place. And not only do the panels clip onto those tracks, but you also have the bracketry that will allow you to have a straight shelf, tilted shelf, as you see in that picture, and also be able to support the cabinetry that's coming off that. Here are just some examples of the reach-in closets that we saw. Again, closets were popular over there, all lit. Everything was lit, and you see more examples of it. Closets behind doors, open space closets. Beds were popular. Again, these are kitchen showrooms. These are not a closet showrooms. The center picture shows the office, and yes, home offices were quite ubiquitous at the show as well. Again, Europeans saying the same thing. We need to do the home office. And in this situation, you see the folding beds. Folding bed on the right-hand side. Those cushions stay in place. The bed merely descends to the floor, and you can leave the articles on that shelf because they'll remain in place. Richelieu offers the foam and the fabric from a third-party supplier. So we sell the bed, and you can buy the foam parts on the outside and just put it together yourself. And there's some money in these beds. Very popular. Accessories. Kitchen accessories, as usual, they're in each and every kitchen. We saw some interesting items, which we'll look at in just a second. The champagne holder was kind of cool. Coffee pot holders, herb planters, wine bottle holders, plumbing management systems, and a whole lot more. And here's some examples of some of the interiors we saw. I want to say this is a place where Lexus taught the Europeans something about cabinet interiors, and the Germans taught something to the Americans, Cadillac and Lincoln, about improving their interiors. So you see a lot more work that went into creating what we call bespoke interiors. You'll see some examples of just some of the interior treatments, the drawer treatments that we've seen, deep drawers and shallow drawers. Notice in the far left-hand side, that's an edge-mounted pole, and that material that's mounted to it is porcelain. Here's another example of that porcelain material that serves as an edge pole. Notice the doors are full height, drawers behind it. Over on the right-hand side, we did see a dovetail drawer box. It was put into a double wall steel drawer. That was at Nobilia. Notice the shaker look. That's the American kitchen, they call it. The door pulls out, the drawer comes behind it, and there's a little release mechanism behind there to be able to push the drawer, to be able to push the drawer closed and be able to get to the other two drawers that are behind it. Champagne cooler for your Prosecco. Deep wood grain texture on in the center, and the plumbing drawer over on the right-hand side. This is a narrow pullout for a filler, light gray material. We did see a lot of light gray material. We also saw anthracite material over there, anthracite interiors, I said. We also saw fabric interiors. Deep wood grain, deep texture on that center picture. Also multi-bins waste storage. You know, the Europeans, they recycle a lot more than we do here in the United States. So you often see multi-bin. They have to separate their waste over there. So that's quite common. On the right-hand side, that is the Kesselbaumer system, Levito. But they have a very thin drawer on there. And that's something that we did see more of. I want to stop at this picture because we were talking about Lexus and what they've done to the interiors. This is a very serious approach to, and beautiful approach to interiors. It's just reflective of the thought that's gone into creating a harmonized interior. Stainless steel fittings, not cheap. Interior storage behind the door for a pantry. There's cute little Nespresso holders and a backsplash. Not terribly difficult to build that. Kind of cool. Multi-bin storage in the drawer with lids and handles. We're in the center again is that fit art system that we saw earlier. Those are stainless steel. Or, sorry, those are galvanized struts that are screwed to the wall, and those panels nearly clip into place. That is a low sheen textured melamine. And over on the right hand side, you see a lot of fun over there. Those are actually Fiat 500s masquerading as a wine cooler. Those lift it up and you put your wine bottles in there. Just, they're having some fun. Custom Highboy pantries, a nice adaptation of wine coolers, wine storage. Not that we sell the center right picture, but I just love this take on a plumbing chase system. And you see those in espresso holders and what they're fastened to. This is a fairly inexpensive way to build a storage system. And it's offset nicely with that faux stone material we see it against. Doors and drawers. We saw more handles and knobs than at the previous show. White shaker and dovetail drawers, really the only place we saw it was at Nobilia, headed for the United States. Oftentimes we saw 10-foot doors. We saw 8mm drawer sides in wood grain and fabric TFL, 8mm. Now, of course, the Bloom Legger box system is 8mm, Grass Nova Pro, very thin. Headache system, Salici systems are all thin, but we also saw the use of an 8mm wood side. Look about that a little bit later. Back bevels were plentiful, thin doors, whether plentiful, whether hinged or mounted to an aluminum frame. Here's two examples of those thin drawers. We know they're getting very thin in their drawers, down to 2.5mm. We know that we saw that at the Kesselbaumer booth at the IWF show with their closet systems, and the major hardware manufacturers are looking to get even thinner, as you see an example here. Over on the right-hand side, we saw that 8mm material fashioned into drawers. I saw that at the Schenck booth. They were making drawers out of 8mm material, and it's an 8mm bottom. They're using a mortise and tenon joint for that. When asked, is it will support the weight and take the abuse? The answer is yes. They tested it. Drawer divider systems here. Again, a picture of the 8mm material that we were talking about earlier. There is a little bit more space on the side because they're using a conventional 5/8 undermount slide. So you're picking up another 8mm of material on each side, creating a little bit more space, but I think it's quite attractive. And there's that walnut drawer with the square joint. Doesn't have to be dovetail. It's got an interesting look to it. Two pictures here that I thought were very interesting. On the right-hand side, this is an aluminum frame glass door, but notice the hinge. That hinge opens 180 degrees, but there's no articulating arm. There's actually, it cuts through the door. Very attractive. I don't know who makes it. I just thought it was cool, so I snapped a picture of it. And on the right-hand side, left-hand side, this is a very typical style, and I had not seen it before when I attended the show 4 years ago. That door is full height, comes up flush with the end panel. Back bevel pull. That back bevel goes around the entire kitchen. And there's a little cut at 90 degrees that actually lips over the countertop. The countertop has a back bevel to it running in the opposite direction. So if something were to spill on the countertop, it's not going to waterfall on you. It's a very nice style to that door. And here's another picture of the same application, but you can now see the back bevel. Notice how thin the end panel and the door is. And that door I don't know if you can see me, but that's the hinge it's using. It's basically a very thin, it's a 6mm cup hinge. This happens to be the LeBlanc product, but other manufacturers are offering it right now. So we saw that very thin material being used for the door, the end panel, and of course the countertops. So let's look at some handles. You see the edge mounted handles were quite preferred, and you see 4 examples of them right here. On the far right, it's mounted, that door is mounted to an aluminum frame. 6-foot handles, a crazy handle that actually sticks above the countertop. I can't say that it would be in my house, but you got to take pictures of the stuff you see, and this was a wild one. The Gola profile in the center right was all over the show, whether it was in a variety of finishes. We also saw them lit, although I don't have a picture of that. Cross-grain textured melamine on the right-hand side with a recessed pull. Pull-outs, quite common. This particular pull-out you see will seat 4. It slides right out and locks in place. It's a nice backsplash over there too with LED lights. This terracotta colored kitchen on the right-hand side has a pull-out table for an area to work. Those pullouts also work well in the bedrooms to be able to have a place to load your suitcase, and also in the laundry room as well. So when you get back from the trip and you don't necessarily want to unpack, there's a place to park your suitcase. In terms of glass and transparency, we saw translucent and frosted glass, tinted and smoked, used almost everywhere. It replaced a lot of open bottom shelves that we saw in the past, and it creates this openness in keeping with the glass. Here's just 2 examples. Frosted glass on one side, backlit, nice look to it. Over on the right-hand side, the cabinets are up off the floor. You're using legs and an aluminum frame system to be able to mount them. Notice how thin the countertop is. Suspension and sliding systems, there were no major changes in those 2 categories. Were still present. The Europeans like to hide their work centers. And we saw a lot less coplanar doors and more fold and pocket doors. We did see for the first time the Bloom system, fold and pocket door. We know that they have been working on it for many years. We saw it finally at the show, along with Bortolucci, Cinetto, and ECOOP systems and fold and pocket. And here's just some examples of those fold and pocket applications. Notice in the center picture, the open drawers again. Very common there, so you can see what's inside the drawers rather than hiding them away. Over on the far right, we're seeing a nice glossy anthracite material with a complementary stone countertop. And also you see a couple of different applications of wood grain, and then well lit. Here's some more examples of suspension systems. Notice the ceiling mounted suspension systems. On the right, you see that, on the left, you see the full height door and 2 drawer bases. Again, very common look. The Europeans go wild with these storage systems mounted to the wall. You see them because they can not only create storage space in the kitchen, but can also go right into the living area. And on the left-hand side, you see open storage area, well lit. And that's on the upper right, that's the UK system from Casablanca. Lighting. Everywhere we looked, there was some kind of lighting. It's a must for applications. Everything is lit to create different moods. We saw the 0 dot LED. You know what the dots in the LED are. You get on a black countertop and you see the dots and people don't like it. Well, the LEDs today have their diodes so close together with the milky diffusers. It's just a continuous light. You don't see the dot effect anymore. We saw slimline edge mounted silicone is narrow as 4 millimeters. still produce a lot of light. We saw them in 10-foot one-piece profile. So they're flexible. They're made of silicone. You can wrap a post with them. Very cool. We saw them in vertical and horizontal applications. We saw wireless door and drawer sensors. So you don't need to, you get the sensor, but you don't need to run the wire back to the driver. And we also saw Google Alexa voice control operation. So you can control the on-off, the dimming, and the color of the lights, all by using your voice. We can do that with tunable white lights from 2700 to 6500 Kelvin, all in the same light. So you don't have to worry about cool, warm, and neutral, because the light will do it all. So you got a cool and a warm diode inside, and then you just blend it, get to the lighting you want. Where else did we see lighting? Under shelf lighting, edge mounted shelf lighting, closet lighting, very narrow profiles, no aluminum, pre-wired, so you don't have to take those 700-foot rolls and put the little snap it and clip it. That's all gone. Take a look at the deep texture and that beautiful aluminum frame. I just love that aluminum door. I don't know where it comes from, but I just loved it. Wood grains. Walnut was everywhere, whether it was engineered or TFL. When we were at the Bofi showroom, we were asking about the use of veneer, because normally the very high-end kitchens, people are using natural veneer. And they said, no, we really don't use natural veneer. Why? He said, because you always get a one bad piece, or one off, not bad piece, but you get one that doesn't match in a kitchen. And it's a pain in the neck, and there's nothing wrong with it, but people don't like it. They want a more consistent look. So the Europeans generally will use engineered veneer, and their selection range of engineered veneer is far greater than we have in the United States. So we saw a great deal of it over there. And we also saw a lot of rift cut white oak, which of course is popular here in the United States. Here's just some examples of the veneers. Notice on the right-hand side, a living room. That is at a kitchen showroom, because they're moving right out into the living areas. At Bofi, they had something similar to this, where they went from the kitchen into the living room. And I said, do you have a joint agreement? Do you work with a furniture company to provide that? Because it looks like it all matches. They said, no, we make our own. I said, you make your own furniture? The cabinet manufacturer. And so yeah, we have a designers, and we've hired furniture makers. So they make the furniture we design, so it all blends together. It's just not something that's done often in the United States. I don't know if it's being done in the United States anywhere, but there in Europe they do. So we saw oak. I love this picture on the lower right. Look at that grain match porcelain. It's just gorgeous. Different textures, pocket door applications there. In terms of textures and finishes, concrete, textile, plaster, abstracts, whether it's 3D touch or 3D illusion, geometric patterns, gloss and matte, alone or in combination. We saw lots of super matte, more super matte than high gloss, but high gloss is still a player. And we saw them combined a lot. Linen in different color textures, but we saw a new almost black now seen. So we saw lots of interesting. Here's a couple of examples of it. It's a melamine on the left-hand side, but notice that they've made the handles to match perfectly. And on the right-hand side, that is concrete. That's a textured melamine. We see some applications here in the low sheen, kind of an attractive kitchen on the left-hand side with the soft, warm lights in the glass door cabinets. The 8mm material again for drawers. And over on the right-hand side, we see that green in a lacquered melamine. Linens were used quite often on interiors. Over on the right-hand side, you see that same linen pattern that's being incorporated into the end panel and also the floating shelves. And they have a light underneath the, not running vertically, but running horizontally on the shelf. In terms of materials, marble, and wood grain combinations of stone and marble, glass and porcelain. Here's some examples. Used kind of an interesting little wood and metal used in the faucet. And over on the right-hand side, that's porcelain, very thin. Then for the countertop, we finally see a drawer, 6-inch drawer with a low sheen lacquered melamine in the base, and slipping a little terracotta sink in there for color. And what about colors? Well, SMEG is always interesting, and there's some of the fashionable colors that you see throughout the show. We saw many variations of the tones within color palettes, as you can see in the lower right. The prevalent colors were terracotta, green, blue, and a new burgundy. Neutrals were very strong, and the grays are here to stay. So here's some example of the different colors and finishes, these new colors that have been accepted by the Color Association. If you draw your attention down to the lower right, that is a 3D illusion. That's film transfer technology that actually EFI has the ability, the Kernersville company has the ability to do. Very, very interesting, and we saw it in a variety of different colors and patterns. It's just what I call high cool factor. Here's the examples of the green and blue. That fit art program over on the far left for shelf supports. The beautiful deep blue used in combination with the walnut kitchen, that would be right at home in America. We see our green utilized against the timbre walnut background. And we see a combination of different green colors in that far vanity on the right-hand side. The burgundy color we'd seen before, pink, mauve, orange and terracotta. We saw examples of that before. Here's the ochre, yellow. I want you to focus on the upper right, or center right picture. That picture was taken at the Hermes showroom in Italy. It was right next door to one of the kitchen companies. And those are all the colors that we saw at the show incorporated. And you see these colors working their way into sneakers, into handbags, into fashion, into furniture, into kitchens. But these are the colors that you will see in the United States, and they will come to the US. You will see them in the stores if you haven't already seen them. And of course, off-white, not the white that we're used to seeing. Soft white is in, so either it has a red, a blue, or a yellow base to it. The Sherwin-Williams colors that it impacted, we saw were 7003 taupe white, 7008 alabaster white, and 7000 ibis white. Those are the whites we saw, very soft. Lower right hand, again, the full height door and the 2-drawer bases. Again, well lit, linear, open, very attractive. And we did see black and gray, especially used in combination in the center right picture. It's a very, very attractive. Again, well lit, open, a lot of fun. So in summary, there was no drastic changes this year. The world's really stopped for 2 years. There was a lot of skepticism that the show would even be held. So we think the fabricators and suppliers played the safe card. But most companies and attendees were ready for a show. Now, I want to throw a couple of things in here because we did have a little bit of fun. I got to know the Aperol Spritzer pretty well. And in fact, at the show, there was a van there on the right-hand side that you could go get your own little Aperol Spritzer. And I absolutely am an ice cream fan, so I love gelato. And we had customers with us, so we went out and we had some fun. So it's an event to be seen. I liken it to this. I paid for my own education growing up. I even paid my loans back. And to go to the show, it's an investment. The first time I went on my own. I paid my own way. I had my own business. But I wanted to go see what was new, what was hot, what was cool. Because if I'm going to speak as an expert, then I needed to see it firsthand. General Patton said, one field trip is worth 100 reports. And I believe it. You see it, put your own eye on it. You can come back and you can talk to your designers and your clients. with a level of confidence that you know where you're going, and you're bringing to your customers what's cool, what's hot, and you keep them relevant. I can only encourage you to go. I think the time is well spent. A trip to Europe like that's going to cost you around $5,000. But I say, look, it's an investment. It's an investment in your business, an investment in knowledge, and you're in the business that you love. You might as well see firsthand what the heck is going on. And you can make a vacation out of it. So that is my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it, and open for questions.
Thank you, Gary. There was one from Kelly. She asked if countertops is porcelain a trend?
Yes, absolutely. It was 4 years ago. It's still today. And very thin countertops.
I saw that. That was really interesting.
Yeah, very thin. This whole thin linear look is we saw it 4 years ago. It's kind of experimenting, and now we've even seen it gone inside the cabinets, and so we see that it'll work its way over here.
Yeah,
especially when you get into the merchandise mart and over into the design center in New York, the A&D Center.
Any other questions? That looks like we have one more here. All right, page 20. A clear glass flat-sided sink. Do you remember that one?
Go back to it. Somebody was taking notes.
I know.
Which sink? This one?
Yes.
I don't know who did that, but that's a good call. I don't know. I'll tell you what we'll do. I will find out. You know who posted that, Amanda?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll find out who does the sink. I'll talk to our sink expert.
Great. Thank you. And then you'll share this presentation with me that I can upload it with the video too.
Say it again, please.
You'll share the presentation with me so I can upload it to the video?
Yes.
With the video? Okay, good. Thank you. I had several people ask about that. Any other questions? There was a lot of information. It was very good, Gary.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate the opportunity, and we will again reach out. Anything we can do to help, please let us know. And thank you all again, and thank you for being clients of Richelieu. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, everyone on the call, and Gary.
All right, bye-bye now.
Bye.